What's up everyone, MK Mincer here and welcome to our ultimate guide on computer storage devices. It's a topic that might seem a bit dry on the surface, but trust me, understanding how your data is stored is fundamental to getting the most out of your tech. Whether you're building a new PC, upgrading an old laptop, or just curious about what goes on inside these machines, knowing the ins and outs of storage can make a huge difference in performance, reliability, and even your budget. So I've been looking forward to diving into this one. Today, we'll break down the different types of storage and their unique purposes. We're going to cover everything from the super fast memory your computer uses right now to the long-term archives that hold massive amounts of data. Each type has its own strengths, weaknesses, and ideal use cases, and we'll explore all of that. Think of this as your comprehensive roadmap to the world of digital bits and bytes, and how they find a home in your devices. We'll look at speed, capacity, cost, and even some of the underlying technology. My goal here is to make this complex topic accessible and clear. We'll look at some physical examples, talk about real-world performance, and help you figure out what kind of storage makes the most sense for your specific needs. By the end of this video, you should have a much better grasp of why certain devices use certain types of storage, and how you can make informed decisions for your own setup. So let's get straight into it. Alright, first up, let's talk about RAM, or Random Access Memory. Now, this is probably one of the most critical components for your computer's immediate performance. Think of RAM as your computer's short-term memory, or its active workspace. It's where all the applications you currently have open, the documents you're working on, and the operating system itself are actively running and being processed. The key thing about RAM is its speed. It's incredibly fast, allowing your CPU to access data almost instantaneously. This rapid access is what makes your computer feel snappy and responsive when you're multitasking or running demanding software. However, there's a catch with RAM, and it's a big one. It's volatile. This means that when your computer loses power, whether you shut it down intentionally or there's a power outage, everything stored in RAM is wiped clean. It doesn't hold onto data permanently. That's why you need to save your work to a more permanent storage solution, which we'll get to. So while RAM is essential for speed and active tasks, it's not for long-term keeping. The amount of RAM you have directly impacts how many applications you can run smoothly at once, so it's a spec you'll always see highlighted. Next on our list is ROM, which stands for read-only memory. Now, ROM is quite different from RAM. As the name suggests, the data stored on ROM is primarily for reading, and it's not designed to be easily changed or written over by the user, at least not in the traditional sense. This type of memory is crucial because it holds the firmware or the very basic instructions your computer needs to even start up. We're talking about things like the BIOS, Basic Input-Output System, or UEFI, Unified Extensible Firmware Interface, on a PC motherboard. These instructions are permanently etched into the chip during manufacturing, ensuring that your computer knows how to initialize its hardware components, check for connected devices, and then load the operating system from your main storage drive every time you power it on. Because this information is so fundamental and needs to be there consistently, ROM is non-volatile. That means it retains its data even when the power is off. Without ROM, your computer would essentially be a blank slate, unable to perform its initial boot-up sequence. It's the bedrock of your system's startup process. Alright, let's move on to hard disk drives, or HDDs. These have been the backbone of mass storage in computers for decades, and for good reason. An HDD is a mechanical storage device. Inside its casing, you'll find one or more spinning platters coated with a magnetic material, kind of like tiny, super-dense vinyl records. Data is read and written to these platters by a read-write head that moves rapidly across the surface of the spinning disks. This mechanical nature is what defines both their strengths and weaknesses. The biggest advantage of HDDs has traditionally been their cost per gigabyte. You can get a massive amount of storage capacity with an HDD for a relatively low price, which makes them excellent for storing large files like videos, photo libraries, or extensive game collections where sheer space is the priority. However, because they rely on moving parts, those spinning platters and actuator arms, they are inherently slower than other storage technologies we'll discuss. They also consume more power, generate more heat, make some noise, and are more susceptible to physical shock or damage. Chapter 4, Solid-State Drives, or SSDs, have really changed the game in terms of computer performance over the last decade or so. Unlike HDDs, SSDs have no moving parts at all. Instead, they use flash memory, specifically NAND flash memory chips, to store data. Think of it like a very large, very fast USB drive built into your computer. This lack of mechanical components is what gives SSDs their significant advantages, most notably speed. Access times are drastically reduced, meaning your operating system boots faster, applications load quicker, and files transfer in a fraction of the time it would take on an HDD. This speed improvement translates to a much more responsive and fluid user experience overall. Beyond speed, SSDs are also more durable since there are no delicate moving parts to break if the device is dropped or bumped. They consume less power, which is great for laptop battery life, and they operate silently. The main trade-off historically has been cost. SSDs are generally more expensive per gigabyte than HDDs. However, prices have been steadily coming down, making them increasingly a standard for operating systems and frequently used applications, even if larger HDDs are still used for bulk storage. Chapter 5. Next up, we have something I'm sure pretty much everyone has used: USB flash drives. These small, portable storage devices have become ubiquitous for transferring files between computers or carrying important data with you on the go. Like SSDs, USB flash drives utilize NAND flash memory, which is why they're relatively durable and can withstand being carried around in pockets or bags. Their defining characteristic is their plug-and-play convenience via the USB or Universal Serial Bus interface, which is standard on almost every computer and many other devices. USB drives come in a huge range of capacities, from just a few gigabytes to terabytes, though the larger capacity ones can get quite pricey. Speeds can also vary significantly depending on the USB standard, like USB 2.0, USB 3.0, USB 3.2, or even USB 4, and the quality of the flash memory inside. They're incredibly handy for quick backups, sharing documents, creating bootable installers for operating systems, or just having a bit of extra storage that you can easily move between different machines. Their small size and ease of use make them an essential tool in many digital workflows. Chapter 6. Let's now turn our attention to memory cards, specifically formats like SD or secure digital cards and their smaller cousins, microSD cards. These tiny storage solutions are incredibly prevalent in a wide array of portable electronic devices. You'll find them in digital cameras, smartphones, tablets, drones, action cameras, portable gaming consoles like the Nintendo Switch, and even some dash cams. Their compact size is obviously a huge part of their appeal, allowing manufacturers to integrate expandable storage into increasingly smaller gadgets. Similar to USB drives and SSDs, memory cards use flash memory to store data. They come in various capacities and speed classes, which are really important to pay attention to, especially for things like recording high-resolution video like 4K or even 8K, or capturing rapid-fire photos. A slow card can bottleneck your device's performance. There are different standards too, like SDHC, SDXC, and SDUC, each denoting different capacity ranges and sometimes file systems. So it's always key to check what type and speed of card your specific device supports to get the best results. Chapter 7. Optical discs. CDs, DVDs, Blu-ray discs. The reflective relics? Alright, let's talk about optical discs. CDs, DVDs, and Blu-ray discs. For a long time, these were the primary way software was distributed, movies were watched, and music was purchased. They store data by using a laser to read microscopic pits and lands on the reflective surface of the disc. CDs, or compact discs, came first, primarily for audio and smaller software packages. Then came DVDs, or digital versatile discs, offering much larger capacities, making them suitable for movies and larger applications. And finally, Blu-ray discs arrived, providing even higher capacities needed for high-definition and now 4K Ultra HD video. While their prevalence has definitely declined with the rise of streaming services and digital downloads, optical media still has its place. Many people have extensive collections of movies or music on these formats. They can also be a decent option for long-term archival if stored correctly, as they aren't susceptible to magnetic fields like HDDs. However, they are prone to scratches, and read speeds are generally much slower than modern SSDs or even HDDs. Many new laptops and PCs don't even come with optical drives anymore, signaling a shift, but they're not entirely gone yet. Chapter 8. Tape drives, the unsung hero of archival. Now for a type of storage that might not be on everyone's radar, but is incredibly important in the enterprise and data archival world: tape drives. Yes, magnetic tape, similar in concept to old cassette tapes, but vastly more advanced and with enormous storage capacities. Tape drives are specifically designed for long-term data storage, backups, and archiving massive quantities of information. We're talking petabytes of data for large organizations. The primary advantages of tape are its incredibly low cost per terabyte for very large data sets and its excellent durability and longevity when stored in proper environmental conditions. Tape cartridges can last for decades, making them ideal for businesses that need to retain data for compliance reasons or disaster recovery. While the sequential access nature of tape means it's slow to retrieve a specific file, you might have to wind through a lot of tape. It's very efficient for writing or restoring large continuous blocks of data. So you wouldn't use it for your operating system, but for backing up entire servers or archiving historical records, it's still a surprisingly relevant and cost-effective solution. It's the silent guardian for huge amounts of the world's data. Chapter 9. Cloud storage, data in the ether. Finally, let's talk about cloud storage. This has become an increasingly popular way for both individuals and businesses to store and access their data. Essentially, cloud storage means your files are saved on remote servers owned and maintained by a third-party company, and you access these files over the internet. Services like Google Drive, Dropbox, iCloud, OneDrive, and Amazon S3 are all examples of cloud storage. The big appeal here is accessibility and convenience. You can get to your files from virtually any device with an internet connection anywhere in the world. Another major benefit is scalability. You can typically increase or decrease your storage amount as needed, often paying only for what you use. Cloud providers also handle the back-end infrastructure, maintenance, and often backups, which can offload a lot of responsibility from the user or business. However, reliance on an internet connection is key. If you're offline, accessing your cloud files can be tricky or impossible unless you have local synced copies. There are also ongoing subscription costs for significant amounts of storage and, of course, considerations around data privacy and security when entrusting your files to a third party. Wrapping up your storage journey. So that's a pretty comprehensive look at the main types of computer storage devices out there. From the lightning-fast temporary workspace of RAM to the vast long-term archives of tape and the ever-present accessibility of cloud storage, each one plays a distinct and important role in how we manage and interact with our digital information. Hopefully, this breakdown gives you a clearer picture of what's what and why certain technologies are chosen for certain tasks. Understanding these differences is key to making smart choices for your own tech. Thanks for watching our guide on computer storage devices. I know it was a lot of information, but storage is such a fundamental part of the tech we use every day. If you found this helpful or learned something new, definitely give this video a thumbs up. It really helps out the channel. And if you want to see more deep dives and tech explanations like this one, make sure you're subscribed. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more tech insights. Let me know in the comments below what type of storage you rely on most, or if you have any questions about anything we covered today. I always enjoy reading through those. Stay curious, and I'll catch you in the next one. See you in the next video.